Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. Hi there, it's me, Captain Logan. That's probably what you'd expect because my name's in the title. But you might not expect another exciting appearance from Connor Neilsen, who is, once again, filling in for DJ Martinez because he has been on vacation this week. Now, apparently, he is back in his humble abode, but could still not be here because he just now, walked in the door and is in the comments, or was in the comments at least, and decided to check in to make sure that Connor wasn't messing it up. So, Connor, no pressure or nothing.
What a slacker. Jeez.
Yeah, God, show up for work sometimes.
I mean, I can't believe you let him out, but okay.
Well, it was risky, certainly, but I can only take the guy so much. We did 2 hours twice a week. It's a lot of. But anyway, I mean, at least on that could happen with you too. But at least on Tuesday, I had 5 other people to talk to.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a fun show, man.
That was a lot of fun. I'm glad they stuck around for that extra hour. I thought the whole vibe was great.
Yeah, it was great. It was really nice of them to stick around because I got a message from them half an hour before the show. They're like, "You're not even gonna believe this. We got another snowstorm," which was the reason they had to put it off in the first place. That was Lame Genie, by the way, one of my absolute favorite cover bands for video game music. They do metal music. If you missed that show, not a ton of our audience has looked at that because it's a real niche kind of thing. But I'm telling you guys, check it out because it was a really fun interview, and those guys are hilarious. And I still don't understand the Taco Bell thing.
Yeah, but I'm glad they talked about it, because it doesn't sound like they get it either.
No, there's apparently no joke there, and that's what makes it funny. I'm definitely going to do that 89 commentary with Kyle.
That's great. I am there for that 100%. That was it was so good.
We are hip deep in the middle of Bat March, and I thought we should probably make at least one of the Captain Logan shows this month Batman themed. And I thought this would be a good opportunity, because nothing against DJ, but he's not a big Batman fan, and Connor is certainly more of a Batman fan than he is. And I thought, Connor, you and I might have a lot of fun just chatting Batman for a couple hours with the audience. Not a thing we've really just sat down and done before, just kind of you and I generally talking about the character of Batman.
Yeah, I really like Batman a lot. I mean, it's not just that it's one of the first movies I can recall watching. The first movie I can ever recall watching is the 1966 Adam West Batman movie.
Is that right? Cool.
Yeah. I grew up, my grandma had the tapes of Batman the Animated Series on tape. It's like the 2 episodes per tape thing. We had the Batman tape and the Penguin tape. My grandma really liked Penguin. She liked how he dressed. Very fancy.
You know, he might steal things and murder people, but at least he's classy looking.
Exactly. Very much my grandma's taste. It was she was adorable.
Grandma was like, Connor, you need to carry a parasol and have a monocle.
Yeah, I mean, that did, I think, start my fascination with monocles. Something like, I don't understand how they work. I don't understand how a person's supposed to wear one of those. But they're kind of cool, right? You know, aesthetically.
Yeah, you know, that is literally a muscle that not a lot of people get to stretch very often. You know, just keeping a thing in your eye all the time and without it affecting the other eye that much.
Oh, man, I've tried wearing monocles before. I feel like my eye's going to pop out or something, where it's like you really got to stick it in there, like underneath your skull. Like, it's creepy.
It's like I don't know when monocles began. I was going to say it's like the 17th or 18th century version of a single contact lens.
Yeah. And I was like, it's like, to what end? Right? Can you really read with that much better?
Yeah, I was never sure. I've never really known anybody that had one. I've like, when you just look at them in movies and stuff, it's often portrayed like a person just keeps it in all the time, but I assumed it was like a reading thing. You know?
That's what I did too, yeah.
Like a magnifying glass that you just put in the one eye when you're trying to look at something.
Yeah, but I don't know. My eyes have never really worked that way. Do you have to like close one eye in order to really get it to read well, or?
What's hilarious is with the condition I have, I would actually be a perfect candidate to wear a monocle. Because my eyes don't see together, so I wouldn't have to close one.
Okay, yeah, you know what? You should get one and then fill me in on the whole like gist of it. I might want to make a monocle and invest it myself.
I would be lazy. I would just use tape. Anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for being here. Like I said, it's going to be all Batman themed tonight, or as much as humanly possible. If you want to ask us about something else, we'll take a few of those kinds of questions as well. Of course, super chats we'll tackle no matter what they are, but I'm going to ask you, if you can, to keep it mostly Batman related. We haven't done a theme show like this in a long time, and if you want to make sure that your question, topic, concern, complaint, irritation, or just wacky idea is read and discussed on camera, you can leave us a super chat in any dollar amount, and that really helps us keep things moving along here on Geekvolution. We appreciate you guys, and if you don't want to do that, can't do that, leave a regular comment and make sure to tag Connor Neilsen and not DJ Martinez, because if you tag DJ, he might see it if he's still here, but he has no way to make his, I mean, really, he just has the same avenue of communication that you guys do, and I'm not necessarily going to see that any better than anything else. So make sure that you tag at Connor Neilsen, at Film Freak, you know, everybody's favorite Batman villain. Do you know about Film Freak?
Is he a Brave and the Bold fella?
He should have been at Brave and the Bold. I don't know if he ever was. I was just going to say, Connor will answer to any of those things and more. You should dress up as Film Freak for a convention. Film Freak I only know from the early issues of Nightfall. He shows up there, and I was like, who is this guy? He's so random. And it's just what you'd think. He just has a movie fetish motif. That's his whole thing. He basically is if you turned into a serial killer, I think.
You know, I own the first two Nightfall omnibuses, so I should read that and like really get to understand that. You know, if I should really like pursue Matt Reeves, let him, you know, pitch myself as Film Freak for the Batman.
Yeah, there's no making that scary is the problem. Well, so the thing is, unless the Omnibuy that you have actually finally collect everything, I don't know if it's in there, because when I say earliest issues of Nightfall, there's like really important lead-up material that should be considered part of Nightfall proper, but doesn't have the Nightfall numbering on them. So it's the first few issues that I was reviewing when I was trying to do Batman Year. And I think it's in, I don't know, the second or third issue that I reviewed after Vengeance of Bane.
Yeah, I know
so
that
those in there.
That first omnibus does not have the Sword of Azrael stuff, so I had to read that on DC Universe. I think it has everything else, but I could be wrong. It's been a minute since I cracked those open.
And then there's one that, no, I don't think any of them ever have Sword of Azrael, and that's a crying shame. Not just because I like that book, but because, like, you'd be so lost without it. You have to have that.
Yeah, no, it's really important, as it turns out.
It's really important. Anyway, we were hoping to do. We. By the way, speaking of Nightfall, Kareem and Austin and I tackled the whole story of the first part of Nightfall last year. And we haven't gotten to Night's End yet. We were hoping to do that this month for Bat March. I don't know if we're quite going to get it clearing the month, but we're going to try real hard to do it as soon as humanly possible. So for folks that have been asking about that. Hey, Connor, you know what madness lies on the channel this weekend?
Is it some kind of vengeance? Not of Bane, but of a different kind?
Yeah, maybe some revengeance. It's Count and Cryptofreaks, The Revenge. It's coming back, Season 2 tomorrow. And when I say Season 2, I mean all of it. So John and I and a couple of other magnanimous folks that we've had on the channel before are going to pop in this time and do a few episodes with us here and there. Connor, if you happen to be around and you feel like jumping in, feel free to come in for a couple. We are going to have some guests this season. Season 2 is, I think, my favorite season. I like 2 and 3 are sort of tied for different episodes, but I think Season 2 is overall like more watchable than 1 and has a lot fewer formulaic Freak of the Week things, and some of the initial mythology setup for Krypton is really interesting. A lot of it doesn't go anywhere and gets retconned later, but it's interesting in the first place. And so I'm very excited to go through that with John. And it starts at 10 o'clock tomorrow night Central Time, and we keep calling them 24-hour streams. It doesn't take quite 24 hours to do a whole season. It's more like 18 if you're really sticking your, to the grindstone and you don't take too many breaks. I think we did the first season in somewhere between like 19 and 20, so it'll probably be like that. So 10 o'clock tomorrow night into the next day, into Saturday, and into at least, dinner time Saturday. I think I got out early enough to actually eat dinner with my family on Saturday.
That's awesome. Man, those 24-hour streams are nuts. I always like being there at the end in like the comments to see, you guys at the finish line. Last month when you and John were there at the finish line, that was pretty fun to witness.
Oh, thanks, man. I couldn't believe how alert I still was at the end. That was definitely the easiest of those I've done so far. Just stamina-wise. Like, I've got this down closer to a science now. Like, how much, rest to get ahead of time, how to pace yourself, how much caffeine to have and when, starting late at night instead of early in the morning. The first one I did, I got up early in the morning and did one. That was a mistake. That's not the way to do it. What you want to do, if you ever want to stay up for 24 straight hours, and you have the opportunity to choose exactly which hours, what you want to do is take a good hefty 2 or 3 hour nap right ahead of time. Have a really good night's sleep the night before, certainly, but then don't sleep all afternoon. I think that's a mistake John made. I think he slept earlier, or maybe slept way in, but then was up for 8 or 9 hours even before we started the show. Don't do that. Sleep 2 or 3 hours ahead of time. And also, for anybody that wants to stay up with us this whole time for this stream, this is also good advice for you guys. And then sleep a couple hours right beforehand. Wake up half an hour before. Get yourself, ready to go, alert and energetic. And then make sure and have caffeine 3 times throughout the day, but not in rapid succession and not right away.
Okay.
And make sure that you have, solid meals and occasional snacks, but don't eat too much because you can get crashes. And don't have any sugar at all if you can help it.
That's really good to know. Yeah, I mean, I eat once a day, and usually when I do,
do you still do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was doing a couple of meals for a few months there, but now I'm back on a day shift, and it's just what I'm used to now. So that's what I do. Maybe I should try to figure out how to do 2 meals in there, but.
Well, everybody, come on back tomorrow night. We're going to have lots of fun, silly things. We're going to count stuff, help us count things. We're missing stuff, I'm sure. We're gonna have the soundboard. I'm going to give away some Crypto Freaks mugs, and it's going to be a good time. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into questions. Oh, Mutale says, I can't wait for you guys to do Season 10. Do you like screaming? I hope you like screaming, because it's not going to matter how tired I am by the end of that. When we get to that finale, it's just going to be wall-to-wall, me pointing and yelling.
Oh, I got to be there for that.
Because I hate it.
Robert Wild says, Cap can do 3 seasons of Smallville in a row in 1 marathon. Binge. Easy.
That sounds like a death warrant, really.
I mean, hey, if you really wanted to get them done fast, I mean,
that's true. Yeah. I mean, I hope you don't care about, like, sentence structure and grammar at that point. All right, we're going to go ahead and get right into things. Like I said, keep it Batman as much as possible, but of course, we'll tackle some other things here and there if you want to. Let's hear from whoever Connor wants to go to first. Go ahead, Connor.
Right on. Yeah, so this is from Goofster123. They ask, would you prefer a Conroy-esque voice for Caped Crusader or something new?
Boy, a lot of that ends up depending on just what tonally that show it feels like. But from what we've seen, just art style so far, Connor, and like where my imagination goes with that looking a little bit more like darker golden age. The first thing that actually comes to mind is something closer to the New Frontier voice.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who did him in New Frontier. I think Kyle MacLachlan was Superman.
No, I don't remember the guy's name. It wasn't anybody I was familiar with, I don't think. But do you remember what he sounded like? He had kind of a like almost 50s radio show kind of voice.
Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing. If they're really going for that like 30s, 40s, like you said, a very early golden age stuff, I think kind of having a cool blend of a more like creepy, like kind of gothic look, but also kind of incorporating more of like that even toned actor voice, like you said, like a radio sound, would also be a cool angle to go with it.
Yeah, make him sound like the Shadow.
Yes, that would be cool.
That's where you go with that. I don't need anybody to do a Conroy. You know what's interesting though? When you think about the sheer number of voice actors and even people on screen, like live action, especially fan film guys, but like the sheer number of people that have tried to ape Heath Ledger's Joker voice, but you don't really hear that with Batman as much. Like, and I think maybe it's just because Kevin Conroy is recognizable as he is. It's not real caricaturable.
No, that's a good point. I don't see like 100,000 like YouTube videos of like teenagers impersonating Kevin Conroy, and it is like, yeah, because it's something you can hear in your head, but like you're right, it's not I don't know, like good Batman voices don't really have that quality that's like really difficult to recreate, which I think is maybe why people like making fun of Christian Bale.
I was gonna say that's why you go to Bale, because it's easy.
Yeah, I don't really hear people doing Michael Keaton, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, because it's subtle. Well, when you do Michael Keaton, you're doing him yelling, and then he's not even Batman, he's Bruce Wayne.
Exactly.
You want to get nuts? Like, he's not wearing a bat suit when he does that.
Yeah, because like Michael Keaton does have like that whispery sound, but it's also like deep. So that's not a very easy thing to do.
No, and I actually think he has one of the most perfect Batman voices, because he's menacing to relatively like to bad guys in his movie by his look and his attitude, and then when he comes up to you, it's almost scarier that he's not growling at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's almost scarier that he's just like, I want you to tell all your friends about me, and I'm like, holy crap, leave me alone.
Yeah, what's his face? That's actually something I do really like about Robert Pattinson's Batman voice. It does kind of just have like that kind of growly whisper that I think, of anything, he's kind of getting closer to Keaton. But I don't know.
Yeah, and he's still like changing his voice when he's Batman more than Keaton is. Because I don't know that Keaton is even doing a voice so much as just not projecting. It's like his Batman voice is just not projecting. That's how you do his Batman voice.
No, I guess you're right, yeah.
It's real subtle. It's like the only way you can capture that is to basically put a lapel mic on Batman.
You gotta hide it right in the neck of the rubber cowl.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, I think the best answer I can come up with to that question is, how would you even do Kevin Conroy?
No, yeah, exactly. I know people like Bruce Greenwood. I don't think I've heard any of his Batman voices.
Oh, he's great. He's done it a couple of times now for different unrelated projects, I think.
Yeah, honestly, I think the only like Batman voice I've not been impressed with is Jason O'Mara who does the Batman voice for like the New
Is that
52
the new 52
continuity.
ones? He's
Yeah.
terrible. Sorry. He gets a little better toward the end when he's got better material to work with. But some of the problem with those voices, it's not all their fault. Some of it is just horrible stilted dialogue that they have to somehow.
Okay, I have a funny story about that guy. Do you remember, I don't know if you saw this, but DC.com, they had like the sort of like in-house promotion thing where if you go to DC.com, it's like, whoa, we're interviewing people who are making toys and voice actors and all this stuff. There's one for that Batman voice actor right when he was announced. And the host of that, I can't remember her name, but she's like, Jason, you should like read my grocery list as Batman. And he's like, okay. And he's like, eggs, milk. It's really funny and awkward.
That's so good. No, you have to be. I mean, in his defense, you have to again almost have a more caricaturable voice for that sort of thing to be. To make sense, where it's funny because it's just really recognizable. And I had even heard Kevin Conroy like try to read lines from other movies as Batman, and sometimes it's great, but the line almost has to be long enough where it even really sounds like Batman. You know, if you're just reading a single word, it's like if you're Bale, it's like eggs, and then it's him,
Yeah. But yeah, that's something Spencer, my brother, when he lived here, and I would always do. It's like, what are you going to get from the store? Some tortilla chips, salsa. We're making nachos. So,
but Batman does not eat nachos.
No, he gets, doggone it, what is it? Diet Coke. He has Diet Coke. That's the drink he gets.
And cucumber sandwiches. All right, moving right along.
Yes. This is a question from, I guess, keeping it with Keaton. Mutale Morenchiku asks, Cap, would you rather Keaton get a Dark Knight Returns movie or a Batman Beyond movie?
Batman Beyond, hands down. Easy. Easy. Would he make sense at this juncture to do Dark Knight Returns? You said Dark Knight Returns, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that too, especially because he can get real manic and crazy-eyed, and like I could see that really working well for the Miller Batman. Some of it is just like it was in animation, but like I've already had a good adaptation of Dark Knight Returns. I don't really need to see that in live action. And then Snyder used that iconography, however you feel about that movie already. Like we haven't done Batman Beyond yet in live action, and we haven't done even an animated project in a million years. Like I would love to see that come back in some sort of form. And you know what's funny? And I've talked about this on the channel before, I always thought it was weird that people like 15 years ago even seemed really obsessed with the idea of a Batman Beyond movie. And I was always like, I don't know why I need to see that in live action. Like that's such a stylized suit. It's such a stylized world. Like it renders better in animation in the first place. I'm not saying you can't do it and make it look great, but like I never really needed that. Fast forward to now, and Keaton is in his 70s, and and we've got him just playing 89 Batman. Maybe like I don't even know for sure if it's exactly that continuity Batman or if it's just Michael Keaton playing a Batman from another universe that has all of 89 Batman stuff. Like we don't actually know that yet. There's a lot of speculation back and forth with it. Now that that's happening, I feel like it's this massive missed opportunity and misstep, and I'm going, yeah, you know what? Never mind. Those people were right. As long as Michael Keaton got to play old man Bruce Wayne, where's my Batman Beyond movie? Now I want it. But I wanted because I think famously Adam West wanted to play Dark Knight Returns Batman, or at least a lot of fans had that idea for a really long time, like years and years ago before you even had Batman Begins, and that's what I would have liked to have seen if we did live action Dark Knight Returns. See Adam West play completely counter opposite type of what he did before. It's not even in that continuity. It's just he was always right for even a more serious Batman. Let him play the 55, 60-year-old Batman, and then let Michael Keaton do Batman Beyond.
Yeah, that would be cool. Actually, like to your point about like live action Batman Beyond, we've only seen Batman Beyond done stylistically really one way, I guess outside of comics. But to your
And it's physically impossible. You'd have to change the whole look of it because he has a mask that covers his mouth and it moves. You can't do that in live action.
Yeah, you'd have to do some kind of like Deadpool kind of thing, but with the mouth, which I think might be a little more uncanny and strange. But yeah, no, I would like to see. Actually, to your point about like actually looping back to the previous question, if the new voice actor could actually do like an Adam West style voice, but not comedic, I think that would actually be kind of cool. But that's because we're bringing up Adam West again.
I definitely think there's there's ways to make that look good in live action, and I feel the same way about Spider-Man 2099, where like I'd love to see that attempted in live action maybe, but you could just as well or better in animation. And of course, we're finally going to kind of get that with Spider-Verse too. But I'm let down that he's not just getting his own movie.
Yeah, man, what happened to all those spinoffs they said were coming?
And even so, that was never one of them.
Well, was it not? Okay.
I don't think so. I think he was always just going to be. I think the deal. I don't think that was ever officially announced, and the deal was I was kind of hoping against hope that that's what they were setting up, but because we didn't know back then for sure if whatever the big screen sequel or sequels were to Spider-Verse would be just more Spider-Verse and not getting to go just see one of those worlds and flesh that out the whole story. But they did the obvious thing. They did what they figured would sell better, and hopefully that movie is great. But I'm having a hard time getting as excited about that as I feel like I ought to be, just because I don't want more Spider-Verse. I want stories set in those universes.
That's the feeling I had when I walked out. But like the movie that won awards and people have really grown to like, it's called Spider-Verse. So I think I get why they went in that direction. But I would prefer, like you had said, if we just got a movie about Miles.
Yeah, and any of those guys really, like, with the exception of Spider-Ham, who I think needs to get like 11-minute cartoons. Like I think that would be wonderful.
Yes, 100%.
But do the Noir movie, especially do the Spider-Gwen movie.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's just printing money.
Next to 2099, I feel like she's the next thing I would want, just because the visual style of those comics is so interesting, and we got a glimpse of what that would look like moving in that movie, and that was great. I guess we're doing a Batman show, but
which spinoff that will never happen do you think will happen first? The John Wick spinoffs or the Spider-Verse spinoffs?
No, it sounds like they're a lot farther ahead on the John Wick spinoff than they were before. Like I keep hearing little bits about that. Like I think they might be closer to a shoot date finally. Are they not?
I don't know. I feel like I've been hearing about that Continental show since like just around the time 2 came out, and then I remember they had like a whole ballerina spinoff.
Yeah, and then it fell off for a while. Okay, that I haven't heard about, but the Continental show I think is they're still trying to get off the ground. I think that is still liable to actually happen, because for a couple of years there was like nothing about it, and then the last several months I occasionally will see an article about that. I think that's still happening.
Okay.
That I think we actually will probably see.
Yeah, just how popular and just like in the zeitgeist John Wick has become. I'm surprised it's not happened yet. Anyways, moving on. This comes from Daniverse.
What they really should do is just John Wick, the HBO hard R cartoon series. That's what they should do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd watch it. What if Batman, this is from Daniverse, what if Batman suddenly moved in next door to you? Would that be cool or dangerous?
Well, first of all, I would think that if he was actually Batman and worth his salt, I wouldn't know that it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's some rich guy living next door to me. I feel like he could be in a much nicer neighborhood. Like, I live in a nice neighborhood, but I don't live in a Bruce Wayne neighborhood,
Yeah, with guys who are as rich as Bruce Wayne is, they don't really have neighbors. They have, like, acres and acres of land. So
I don't think that would be cool at all, actually, because for a couple of reasons. A, if he was doing his job right, you'd never know it, so he'd just be some, like, reclusive rich guy that didn't want to talk to anybody, probably. You know, depending on what version of Bruce Wayne we're talking about. And secondly, if you did find out who he was, it would probably be because everything went south for him, and it would be like a Breaking Bad situation where, like, it ruins the whole neighborhood.
I think it could be both, because, you know, if he's going in now, this is assuming he brings Alfred with him, all right? Because Alfred would be like the best neighbor ever, right? He'd be bringing you like cookies.
I still have the idea of a butler in my neighborhood. That's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be like, hey, you know, like, I'd love to wash a car with Alfred. That'd be like really cool, you know. But I think as far as it being dangerous, yeah, if their Batcave is a garage, I mean, there's stuff that might be flying out of that garage that could like land on my property. Yeah. I don't want that. So that I think it could be both. As long as Alfred's there, it would be really cool though.
It'd be really funny if Batman was so, like he's poor, or he's relatively poor, and he has to come move into your neighborhood. And but he's anal retentive, or he's just like really in denial, right? And he's had a break with reality. He's got to do everything like he did before, and he still pretends like he's got the manor in the cave and everything, right? And so he puts, but he's also got like all the 60s iconography. So he puts out a sign that says like Gotham City, 0.00001 miles.
I believe he would do that. All right.
And also, if that happened and they were really needing money, Alfred should start his own YouTube channel where he's live streaming or just making videos, and it's called Wash a Car with Alfred.
He could have like his own like car wash drive, like at the local bowling alley, you know.
No, that's wonderful. That sounds great.
I would actually tune into Alfred's stream, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube. Or
Wash a Car with Alfred. Cooking
car
with Alfred.
stream. Ooh, yeah.
Cucumber sandwiches with Alfred.
So moving into super chats, our first one comes from TH1 with a $2 super chat, and he says, "Pitch a Christmas episode of Batman."
Wow, I mean, can we do very much better than Christmas with the Joker from the animated series? You know, when you get to the end and Batman watches It's a Wonderful Life, like...
It's pretty great.
It's wonderful. And Joker sings Jingle Bells, Batman Smells at the beginning.
Yeah, let's see.
Robin, I brought this up the other day on the Batman commentary. Batman picks up a bat and hits like a flying robot with it or something, and Robin says, "They don't call you Batman for nothing."
Let's see. If I want to do it depends which Robin we're dealing with. If we're dealing with Damian Wayne, I think there's a great Damian Wayne Christmas story to tell. And I don't know, is Dick Grayson or is Bruce Wayne Batman? I'll have to think about this a little bit, but I would like to see Damian Wayne learn the magic of Christmas.
Yeah, Damian Wayne learns the true meaning of Christmas. Damian Wayne has learned it already and is uncharacteristically mushy about it, and has to go teach Talia and Ra's al Ghul the true meaning of Christmas.
Ooh, yeah. Christmas. Which region are they from? What's like the fake country they come from?
I can't think of it.
Oh, okay. Because I know it's not Kandak, but whenever I think of like
DC's... different things?
Yeah, it probably is.
Isn't it just like a mountain in the Middle East somewhere? I don't remember.
Probably. What if we do Christmas is like, biblical ties? Would like Lazarus Pit that has a biblical tie? We could do kind of like retelling of Lazarus, but with the Lazarus Pit.
Oh, see, now he's thinking. Now he's really thinking. I'm so sick of the freaking Lazarus Pit right now, though, man. Like, I've been doing all these single issues for not Spawn Year. The Lazarus Pit has already shown up like 4 times.
Wow.
In like the 16 books I've reviewed. I cannot get away from the friggin' Lazarus Pit.
It's basically a writer's easy button, isn't it? Like, it's just, throw him in a Lazarus Pit.
Yeah, and what's weird is sometimes it feels like a story will be built completely around it. It isn't that you wrote yourself into a hole, how do we get out of it? It's, we'll do this really, like, gimmicky shock factor sort of story, and we know we can write out of it because we have the Lazarus Pit. So it's like, oh, what if, I don't know. What if Batman died and Alfred had to rescue him? Oh, he goes and finds a Lazarus pit.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a pitch.
Yes.
Decorating a Christmas tree with Alfred.
Yes, 100%. He can teach you how to wrap presents with the least amount of tape pieces. That would be dynamite.
That's right. Yeah, and then he gives you insights into what he gives Bruce Wayne for Christmas.
Ooh, yeah. How to shop for people.
Yeah, and then you see him get really depressed because he's not good. He doesn't know if he's actually any good at buying gifts because Bruce Wayne never uses anything he gives him. It just turns into this really bleak character study of how alone Alfred is.
He just buys Bruce things that he wants, so that he can
like Batman doesn't care.
Yeah. Robert Wilde says, "When you stare into the Lazarus pit long enough, the Lazarus pit stares back at you."
Okay, moving right along.
Goofster123 gives us a $5 super chat, and they ask, do you think a revival of the 66 show with new actors but similar tone and style could work? Which actor could fill West's shoes?
So that second part, I couldn't tell you right now. I can't think of anybody right away. Because you wouldn't want somebody who is already doing comedy. You'd want to cast it probably the same way you did with Adam West in the first place, where it's somebody who has a, wicked sense of humor, but is known already mostly for serious roles. So you'd want, a pretty boy James Bond type, who then could make this turn, and, then ruin his whole career and get typecast for the rest of his life. But that's what you'd want. I don't know who that guy is right off. Connor knows his modern actors a little bit better than I do, but let me answer that first part. I would cross my fingers like a crazy person, knowing that chances are that doesn't turn out. I've always wanted to see somebody at least try to do a high production value fan film series for 60s Batman, the same way that Star Trek Continues did for Star Trek, because that was surprisingly good, and I think it could be done for 60s Batman. I just don't trust it. So, yes, it could work. It'd be neat to see somebody do, season 4 of that show. But I don't think I would actually want to see Warner Brothers bankroll it. I think I would want to just see somebody... It would turn out better if it was a passion project from somebody who has too much money. And instead of becoming Batman, they make that show.
Yeah, I've never seen Star Trek Continues, but when that question came up, that's where my brain went to, considering how positive the response to that was. As far as actors, I would actually say Patrick Wilson, I think, kind of has a little bit of an Adam West face. His voice is a little different, but I don't know, maybe his range.
I'm not picturing him right away.
Night Owl.
Okay, I thought that's who you were talking about, but I assumed I was wrong. You know what? That's a good call. I really like him. He's maybe a little old now.
A little bit, yeah, but he just has a kind of a 1960s face and demeanor. I don't know. There's something about him. I really find him compelling.
You know what? I'll throw another one at you too. Anson Mount, the guy who's playing Pike right now. He'd be good for it too.
Yeah, I can see that too, especially if you wanna do Dark Knight Returns in 66 Batman style. Anson Mount would be a really good way to go.
Which would be funny because then you'd have two guys who played Pike and Batman.
Oh, yeah, because Bruce Greenwood, right?
Bruce Greenwood, yeah. I was just excited that I sort of thought of something, but I like your response better than mine.
No, Anson Mount's good, yeah.
And the nice thing about Patrick Wilson is we've already seen him in a Batman cowl. We already know what that looks like.
Oh, I guess, yeah. He was just wearing the prototype for Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, I mean,
costume.
Night Owl essentially is all well, and we know, and I thought this was actually kind of clever on Snyder's part. We know that Snyder, or at least this is what he claimed in the commentary, that he was looking at past superhero costumes and trying to kind of do a serious parody of that stuff. So the same way that the comics were looking at and like a comic history and turning tropes on its head, he was trying to do the same thing with movies, and so he's looking at the Batman Forever suits especially,
Hmm. Okay, yeah.
Some people don't like the look of that movie. I think it's wonderful, but
Yeah. What are you talking about? Like Watchmen or
Watchmen,
Forever?
Watchmen.
No, I think Watchmen looks great. It's I think probably the best thing about it. Like, wonderful production design.
Is it the
Um,
best thing visually he made? Do you think,
ooh.
or do you give it to 300? Or
I think it might be as it's either Watchmen or Justice League. I think is the most impressive thing visually he's
oh
done.
wow, you think?
Yeah, well, I think the cinematography in his Justice League is better than BVS and Man of Steel, so maybe that's why I'm leaning
I
into
don't
that.
disagree with
But
that. Yeah. Yeah, and it's weird
uh,
because he had the same DP with BVS that he did with Watchmen.
yeah, that's true. You know, I think
And I
I'm gonna
think
have to
that
go
guy
with
left
Watchmen.
by Justice League.
He did, yeah. Some guy I'd never heard of. I think Fabian Wagner is the guy who did Justice League, and I was really impressed by his stuff. But no, I think I'll have to give it to Watchmen because it's so versatile, like the streets of New York and then the Antarctica, like pyramid of Ozymandias, and like it's so varied, but it looks so cohesive at the same time.
It just
Um,
really helps when he's got something to look at.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true, but you know, it also helps to just it doesn't look just like the comic. It does look like the comic through Snyder's filter.
That's true.
And even stuff I don't particularly care for, like the costume design on Ozymandias, I still think like I can see what the idea is.
I
And even
actually
on
don't.
him,
I don't disagree with you with Ozymandias. I don't like anything about Ozymandias in that movie. Really, I mean that actor does a decent job, but it's just not the right take. I don't think.
no, I agree with your rewind where you're just like, if you've never read the comic and you're trying to figure out who the bad guy is, the second this guy shows up, you're like, oh,
That's
that's
the
the
bad
bad guy.
And I didn't do
Yeah.
that. Read the comic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but I like the costumes with everybody else.
yeah, I think the Silk Spectre update is actually a really smart way to take it, especially if you're going to like lean into like the psychosexual angle, like the kind
Yeah.
of leather costume is like I think the right way to go with that.
Well, and all the Golden
Uh,
Age stuff looks really neat, and you kind of wish you could see a little bit more
yeah.
of that. Like the Dryberg suit is awesome.
Dude, I love the Minutemen so much, and they look so right off the page in that movie. It's so good.
It's great.
Anyways, we have one from What Is a Super Chat. This
Thanks,
is
man.
$2. They say, what is the purpose of a cowl over a normal mask?
I think it's so that you don't have to be like Pattinson's Batman and paint your eyes and then go, well, crap, I don't have time to get all this off my face, so I'm just going to look even more emo by walking around with it like this all the time. Like, if you have a mask on that's close enough to your eyes with the cowl over it, then you can maybe get away with not having to paint your eyes. You know, maybe that's the whole point. How often do we do that when he says that, though? Because most of the time, Batman with a cowl, he doesn't have a mask under his cowl, unless, because the other actual answer to this, see, all my answers tonight are like twofold. Like, the other answer to this is, it's like the Cape and Cowl conspiracy from the animated series, where Batman wears a second mask so that if somebody does rip his cowl off, he still preserves his secret identity. That's the other reason.
That's actually a really good. That's what I would do. Yeah, you're totally two-faced tonight, Cap.
I really am. I'm gonna start answering questions like this. So somebody asks a question, and then I'm gonna start like this, and then when I get to my other answer, I flip over like this.
And you're like on one side. You should take your suit and like splice it with your Riddler jacket so it could be like two-sided.
Oh my God, that's a great idea. You know what I've always wanted to do? I've talked about this before. Have you heard me say this? I want the Bat Dance Prince costume so bad.
Ooh, that would be killer. That would look great, especially with like your setup. That would look great.
And I want to cosplay it. I've always wanted to, where you're Batman on one side and Joker on the other side.
That would be awesome. Yes, definitely. I'm actually surprised I haven't seen more of that at like conventions or like Halloween.
I know it doesn't
stuff.
seem like it would be if you were a good seamstress and you knew what you're doing. I don't feel like that'd be that hard.
Yeah, no, like that. Good call.
And then you need some makeup. but I don't think it'd be that hard. Well, and once a couple of years ago now, maybe on the Captain Logan show, I pitched a whole story based on the Prince Batman suit, where you had a Joker who sometimes thought he was Batman and sometimes thought he was the Joker, and then ultimately ends up with kind of like Two-Face, with both of his personas existing simultaneously, and so he then looks like that because he's always both of them. I was like, oh, we could get this in a comic. It would be really easy to make that a character. Be so good. Or maybe it's not actually the Joker. Maybe it's some other person who's the two sides of his personality are so in conflict that he becomes both the Joker and Batman at the same time, and that's a Batman villain in and of itself. So like Prince's Joker Batman is a member of the Rogues Gallery. Come on now, somebody do that. That's a good idea.
That'd be fun. Do you think Batman and Joker would team up to take him down?
That's how you'd have to do that story, right? And then you need the obligatory panel where they both punch him on either
yes, side. Dude, yes. Definitely.
That'd be so good.
Man, we're just coming up with Golden Knight. Yeah, like, ooh, hold on. Silent Night with Damian. What do we call that? I mean, sorry. It's Snow on Shadows. I don't know, some crap like that.
Hey, what do you think is the purpose of a cowl over a mask?
See, I love what you just came up with. Like, if I am so paranoid about like my secret identity, having like a nice domino mask or like some kind of wraparound mask, and then somebody yoinks my cowl off, and I'm still protected. That's better than anything I could have come up with.
And then you still spray paint your face even under that. So if they get that off, then you're like Arrow.
Yeah, you're just like that Mission Impossible, like Tom Cruise, where he just always has like the mask on. Yeah, can't get him.
Or then it just becomes a Scooby-Doo joke.
Yeah,
it's like,
it does.
I can't believe it turned out to be. Oh, I can't believe it turned out to be. There's a joke at the end of an episode of Johnny Bravo, which used to make fun of other cartoon shows, where there's a whole episode that's a parody of Scooby-Doo, and when you get to the end, they keep taking masks off, and the guy's got like 12 celebrity masks, and so he pulls it off, and it's like, that's Don Knotts, and they pull that one off, and it's somebody else, and then it's somebody else.
I would love to see Don Knotts as the villain in like a Scooby-Doo episode. That would be awesome. They like unmask him and he just starts grilling all of them. Just bam, bam, bam. What is the super chat? Gives us another one. Thank you very much. $2 super chat from What is a Super Chat? And they ask, what is the purpose of religion? We're getting pretty heavy here.
Okay, yeah, that is profound and heavy, and we could do an entire show about it, but nobody would watch it from us. But I think I have the correct answer, and this is not Batman related. I wish I could have somehow gone to a Batman place with this, Connor. But I think the answer to that is to get a congregation of people together. You like how I said congregation? It seems like the correct word choice. You get a
congregation. Got me.
You get a congregation. You get a congregation together, Connor, of people to debate what God needs with a starship. That's the purpose of religion.
Oh man, that is one iceberg of a question, right?
It is.
It's just yeah. I don't know.
It's to give people. I mean, if we have to actually go to like real answers, okay, gives people hope. Gives people a reason to like get together and support each other beyond just we're neighbors or whatever, and it provides people with a baseline for morality if they don't feel like they can get it just in a natural biological kind of sense, or just looking at the world around them.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many thoughts on religion. There's lots of positive stuff there in terms of just like a community, like you said, shared values that you're able to like kind of come together, break bread, do community service.
Even if it's like even if it's like unleavened and like gross.
Yeah. But there's also like, I do think some people create religions for the sake of control. That is, I think, kind of objective, especially when you look at the math that's come off of like other religions, especially in like the last couple of decades. It's a huge topic, but what's the purpose of it? I don't think there's one.
No, many certainly.
To have a congregation to discuss what God needs with the starship.
I mean, what does God need with a starship? That's the most profound thing Captain Kirk ever said. Well, no, wait a minute. You're God, and my favorite line delivery. Have you seen Star Trek V?
No, I've not actually.
Oh, I'm spoiling Star Trek V. My favorite. Do you know about Star Trek V?
Yeah.
So they're trying to find Shaka-Ree, they're trying to find Eden, and they find God, and God's just this big face that shoots in the sky that shoots lightning bolts out of his eyes, and he's just some alien that's trying to get off this planet, and he's like all powerful, but he can't leave the planet. And my favorite line delivery, even over what does God need with a starship, which is wonderful, and I should have a T-shirt that says it, is, aren't you God? Don't you know? Wonderful. And then, well, I say that's my favorite. Maybe even above that is, I want my pain. I need my pain.
I remember when Eric finally watched that movie, he was like, you know, that's actually a really good line.
It is a good line. Absolutely. There's good stuff in that movie. But it's all tempered by the insanity of the premise and the absurdity of just everything about Shatner's directing style. You've got to see it, because I think you'll just have your head in your lap the whole time with Shatner as a director.
I started watching because I watched 2, 3, and 4 for Who Reviews the Reviewers, and I started watching 1, and I was like, I feel like I need to have seen a show in order to really get what this is doing, so I'm not gonna keep watching this. And I started watching 5, and I was like, this is bad. And so I stopped watching it.
It is bad.
But it was kind of nutty and kitschy.
I'm sorry, which
entertaining.
One? It is entertaining. Which one were you watching when you, maybe you said, sorry, I was looking at comments. Which one were you watching when you said, I need to know this material?
1, the first one.
Yeah, it's kind of more that one's just boring.
See,
but maybe you would appreciate it more if you were familiar with the general ideas of Star Trek and what it's about, I guess, because I probably like it more because I'm a Star Trek fan. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, well, it also a lot of the beginning of it was sort of getting the band back together and kind of look at, Kirk's an admiral and this is where he is in life, and we're bringing back DeForest Kelley, and Spock is on Vulcan and he sort of is thinking about stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't actually know these characters at this point in their development. I know them from 2, 3, and 4, but not from the original show.
Yeah, and I mean they're practically reinvented for those movies. Not I shouldn't say reinvented. I mean they're taking a lot more back to brass tacks because they're allowed to, I don't know, have fun and talk like people by 2.
Yeah, I have started watching the original series though.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. The episodes
good.
have only been okay or pretty good. There hasn't been a great one, but I just love the look of that show so much. It's aesthetically, it's coasting on just aesthetics and vibes, and I'm cool with that. It's cool.
And acting, right? Nimoy's a genius.
He's really good. I really like the episode Charlie X. That was a really good episode.
Did you notice? I want to tell you something really random about that episode. Do you remember? I think was it Scotty when he's got to shoot into the wall with a phaser to try to get into a circuit panel. Do you remember that?
I think so. Yes.
The shape of that he goes in the wall looks like Texas. Looks exactly like Texas. It's weird.
I got to go back and look at that. That's funny.
Anyway.
So Philip Kelton gives us 25 Mexican pesos. And this isn't a question so much as it is a statement.
Well, that's okay. I said you could put those in too.
Certainly.
And complaints and, I don't know, you can copy and paste Wikipedia. I don't care. I appreciate the super chats. Thanks a lot, guys. Anyway, that would be really funny if I did that, though.
I'm going to do this in a Batman voice. Because Philip Kelton says, Batman voice is boring.
I think I fell asleep while you were reading that.
Yeah. Imagine me reading it.
Doing a Batman voice can be really monotone really easily, or just growling at people, just yelling at people.
You know what character voice that, like, in my head I get tired of hearing? Jim Gordon. As it turns out, in comic books, they give Jim Gordon like only 2 or 3 modes. It's like exasperated, or he's angry, or he's like weary. Like Jim Gordon doesn't get a whole lot of modes. And I hear Gary Oldman's voice in my head, and man, that Gary Oldman voice gets annoying after a while.
Oh, wow. See, I always go to animated series when it's written well. That's the voice that comes to my head most readily. But I think sorry, what did you say?
Oh, I was gonna say, I think I go to Oldman, because like the Gordon that a lot of what I've read of Batman is New 52, where they like took all the gray out of his hair, so like I just see color in his hair, and I think Gary Oldman Gordon.
I hate that, man. Gordon needs to perpetually be middle-aged, okay?
Yes, I agreed. Yes.
And you know what he really doesn't need to be? He really, after he's had like a whole career, he really doesn't need to be a bald 27-year-old man, okay? Because that's what Snyder did to him when he was in like the Bat Bunny mech suit.
Oh my god!
As soon as he starts working out and shaves and then is bald, he loses 35 years.
But they say like they give him like muscle implants, and I'm like, no, I just don't like any of this.
It must have killed brain cells, because he also talked like a completely different person. Like,
I know. Like, what is? Yeah.
He's a totally different person.
And he's like, hey, I was a Marine. He starts saying stuff like Semper Fi, and I'm like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, what is that?
2 words I've never heard Gordon say before, in this continuity anyways. And now all of a sudden he's like, hey, I'm a Marine. Hoorah, Semper Fi. I'm like,
oh my god. At the point Gordon says hoorah, I'm done. I don't care how menacing your big plant flower villain is, okay? Like, stop it. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, no, I hated that.
After having an entire career, he really doesn't need to be Batman. So
real quick and I don't mean to cut you off. I keep thinking you're about to move on before I'm ready to move on. Okay. So there's the other thing I wanted to mention about just his statement that the Batman voice is boring is he might be thinking like it's not as much fun for people to do, right? Like when they're doing impressions. So like maybe people aren't trying to do Conroy as much because it's dramatic before it's melodramatic, before it's you know, flamboyant and crazy fun, and like he's got some great speeches in that show, in the animated series. But generally speaking, Batman, like his voice can be quote unquote boring, and I don't think, you know, the best ones are. I don't think Keaton's boring. I don't think that's boring. Conroy, but generally speaking, he doesn't talk a lot. Like Batman's not a talky guy usually.
No, he's not. I'm honestly like, you know, thinking about with John Wick 4 imminent, I'm thinking about how kind of close John Wick and Batman are, but like John Wick does not talk a lot.
I've had that thought a lot. Yeah. It's like, what if Bruce Wayne picked up a gun?
Ooh. Okay. Wow. Yeah. You've blown my mind. That's the first time I've thought to, I guess, really compare the two. But
could Kiefer Sutherland? He could have played Batman. He could have, though. Kiefer Sutherland could have played Batman, but I don't know why I said that.
Joel Schumacher. Why didn't you cast Kiefer Sutherland?
Why didn't you cast Kiefer Sutherland as Batman? Well, because he also worked with Val Kilmer. And
no, that's true.
Kilmer is good. I mean, those are both really good picks. But anyway, Keanu Reeves, though, could he have played Batman?
You know what? If they were doing the Batman in the 90s, or I don't know, but I like Keanu Reeves at his current age, maybe a little bit younger. I don't know. Maybe. I think the case could be made that Reeves could have done it at a certain point, but
maybe. That's interesting.
My inclination is to say no. But
there's probably other superheroes he'd be better for, but I don't know what. Nothing jumps to mind immediately. Surely people have had this conversation about him.
Like, they probably have.
Green Lantern.
Keanu Reeves is Green Lantern?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, why not? Which one?
You know what? Kyle Rayner. No, I don't know. I'm not sure actually. If I'm just sitting here like, there's a lot of these actors. It's like they could be so many different characters. I don't know who to cast them as. And Keanu Reeves, I'm like, that's a blank slate for superheroes. I mean, we had him as Constantine, and that was not anything like obvious. That wasn't exactly the right choice either. No, you know who he would have been perfect for? in the 90s, in the late 90s. Cyclops.
Oh, okay. I don't know my X-Men very well, but that's an interesting pick.
Give him Cyclops.
Dan Everest, Keanu would be the worst Guy Gardner. That's true.
Well, yeah. I mean, it have that sort of personality whatsoever. Hey, Connor, we are at the hour mark, so let's go ahead and take a 3-minute break, and we will come right back for the second half of the Captain Logan show. I hope everybody's having a good time. I know I am. Connor, are you having a good time?
I'm having a great time.
It's fun just talking about Batman randomly for 2 hours. This is so relaxing for me.
For me too. It's good to get back in touch because it's been a minute since I've looked at Batman, but I love Batman.
I thought you met with me, and I was like, I just saw you Tuesday, and then we did a show Sunday. Like, wait, you and I, honestly, we've been seeing each other so much, we might have to take a break. I don't know.
Time's relative, Cap.
We'll see everybody in just 3 minutes. And we're back. It's time for the second half of the Captain Logan show. And if you just tuned in, welcome. We're talking about Batman. Thus, all the bat symbols. And if you can guess just how many are on this coat, you'll win. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not counting that. I'm too lazy to count that.
Hey, you've got to prep for your counting of the crypto freaks. You know, don't want to spoil your brain.
You know what? I need a giant count puppet for that show. You know, One crypto freak, two
Yeah.
crypto freaks. Like I need that. Why don't I have that?
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't. You could teach a plush Captain Logan how to do that, maybe.
Oh yeah, man, I don't have that anymore either. Well, I don't know where that is right off. He's somewhere.
Oh.
I have pop figure Captain Logan, but I gotta put him on a stick or something.
I'd like to see that. All right.
Figure. Have I shown you pop figure Captain Logan?
I've seen it. Yeah, you have actually. Grace made that for you, right?
Yeah, she sure did. DJ's wife. I probably showed you that when you were here.
Yes, you did. It was so cool. I like the Geek Evolution shirt that he's wearing and everything. It's really, really well designed.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have tattoos yet because she might have tried to figure out how to incorporate that. Anyway.
I don't own.
Oh, you're the guy that asked the questions, Connor. Do you have any? Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't think to prime you there. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I don't have a lot of pop figures, but one of the few I do have is the first appearance Batman costume with like the purple gloves.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that. I love that costume.
Do you have any of the other Batmans?
Nope, that's the one Batman I got.
I'm up to 118.
Nice. What are the newest acquisitions?
Just Batmans? Yeah, I've got a bunch of them. I'm running out of space.
How many of those, what are they called? Glass display cases do you have with those in them now? Is it just the one?
So I don't have the pop figures in glass displays. They weren't in glass displays when you were here last, I don't think.
Oh, I don't think they were. No.
I've got that in a big, I mean, not that I expect you to remember the entire layout of the bunker, whatever. But I've got a big, like wooden collectible shelf that was custom made originally for Hot Wheel toys, for Hot Wheel cars. And I've got two of those, and one I've got here as the grid figures are, and then on it, and then right across from that, I've got all the Batman pops on it. The glass cases, one is Batman statues, and one is Star Trek figures, and one now is, I don't think I had these when you were here last, one is Power Ranger statues.
Yeah, I don't think I had that. I was getting it mixed up because I remember the Heroes of the Grid figurines like were on that wooden thing. I forgot. Yeah, the Batman pops are right next to them.
Because I've got two of them. Yeah. Well, now they're across from each other. I've actually changed these around quite a bit since you were here last, but
I should stop by and see what it's looking like.
I hope you come back.
Yeah, you know how it is. You're just in Oregon. Maybe you'll drive by Kansas in a plane and then come back in an afternoon, make it a day trip.
Do it, man. It'll be great. You know how a normal person gets up in the morning and gets on a plane and goes to Kansas, gets forced to play a board game about characters he does not care about?
Hey, painting them was really fun. I'm never gonna forget. Like I'm sitting there painting it, and then I got like a weird text from my flight. It's like, hey, your flight got delayed. Your flight got delayed till after your connecting flight is leaving. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, that was great. I forgot about that. I forgot we painted.
Like,
do you remember what character you were painting?
Oh yeah. So I primarily did putties because it's pretty simple to just do like the black on the face with like the red eyes.
Yeah, you weren't comfortable doing anything complicated yet. You were like, give me something easy so I can get my feet wet in it. And I really needed some putties painted, so that was helpful for me. Yeah.
That was really fun. Gotta scratch the old painting itch. I hadn't really done that in a while. Anyways,
yeah,
we're talking about
nobody cares about this, but we appreciate you letting us be self-indulgent. Again, I keep saying like Connor and I've been hanging out so much lately, but then here we are catching up anyway.
Yeah. What have I not told you about? Hold on. I'm just. I guess I started dancing. I've been starting dance lessons, so that's pretty fun.
What style?
It's salsa.
Oh, sorry,
swing.
You're freezing up on me, so I missed most of that. I missed most of that. What are you doing?
Oh no. Salsa, swing, and foxtrot.
Okay, cool, sweet. So it's like it's like a ballroom dance kind of place, or?
Yeah, it is. It's been really fun. New hobby skill.
That's great.
Get acquainted with. I like that.
I did some of that. It's been forever. I don't remember anything, but I did some of that right before I got married, so that my wife and I could dance during the reception. So we took ballroom dance lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I was like watching like West Side Story or something. I'm like, man, I gotta learn how to dance. Dancing's so cool.
Connor,
this tall, lanky guy looks so awkward on the dance floor.
You are freezing up quite a bit right now. Should I just call you back, or do you think it's just your internet, or?
You back?
Okay, yeah, I'm getting like very, very little of what he's saying right now, guys. I'm just gonna hang up and call him back. Oh no, he's doing it himself. Look, he's so proactive. He is so proactive. Well, we'll just wait for him to call back. In the meantime, let's see what folks are saying here. I don't want to mess him up because I don't know what order he was going with exactly, but I'll just do the next super chat and let him weigh in when he gets back if he's able to. Let me just scroll up a little bit. Phil Kelton put in another 65 Mexican pesos super chat and says, nah, you haven't seen Miller's Batman unless you search for Frank Miller Batman monologue by Smokey's videos. In fact, you should react to that. Okay, thanks. I'll take a look at that at some point. I have not heard about that. Let me call Connor back. Sorry about sounds.
All right.
And he's back, A Dinosaur Story. But yeah, I was just reading the super chat from Philip Kelton where he says there's a Batman monologue by somebody called Smokey's Videos that we should look at that's like better Frank Miller Batman. He says I haven't seen Miller's Batman. I mean, I beg to differ because I think the Dark Knight Returns movie is pretty good, but
you haven't seen Miller's Batman unless you search for Frank Miller Batman monologue by Smokey's Videos. In fact, you should react to that. Have you been reacting to it or
no, and I'm not going to right now, but I did read that.
All right. I've actually not watched that animated movie. Surprisingly, I feel like I should have. It was really popular when I was in high school.
Okay, so can I ask you a question without coming off like a prude or something?
Yeah, go for it.
Why have you seen so few like animated direct-to-video movies? Because there's some really good ones, and you haven't looked at any of that stuff hardly.
Yeah, I don't know why. Some of it is accessibility. Like, I don't want to pay like $20 for them, especially since I hear a lot of them aren't great. I just the animation style just on the face of it doesn't really appeal to me.
That's fair.
So and a lot of the things I hear that they're really short, and so it's like if I'm sitting down for a movie, usually it's like sit down for like an hour 45 to 2 hours or however long it is, and apparently they're only about like 70 minutes or something.
They're 75 to 80, and they just don't have the budgets to make them any longer than that. But you could watch two.
Right. No, that's true. You
could,
right.
You could knock some out that way, and a lot of them are on Max now.
Okay. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. Yeah. No, I've had the thought every so often to just sit down and just watch all of them. But yeah, it's always one of those things that keep putting off.
Not to be all peer pressure or nothing. There's just a few that I feel like you'd really appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, I checked out New Frontier, and I wasn't crazy about that one, but it wasn't like bad or anything.
Yeah. And I like New Frontier quite a bit, but I was introduced to that material through that, and you being such a big fan of that book and that author in the first place.
Yeah.
You're going to be more critical of that than I was.
I guess so. Yeah, I am. I should check them out. I've been meaning to.
I don't mean all of them, because a lot of that stuff really isn't worth it. But I don't know. I can give you a list of 5 or 10 that I think you'd really appreciate.
I mean, I do want to watch some of the really bad ones. I have seen Batman Harley Quinn. That one was pretty bad.
That'll make you want to never look at animation again.
Voice acting ever again, because whoa, is that bad?
Anyway, throw us another one, sir.
All right. Checkers the Inventor gives us a $2 super chat. They ask, which live-action Batman would you most like to meet?
Okay, so the question is Checkers talking about actors or like actually the character of Batman, like the different iterations? And since he didn't say actor, I'm going to assume he means iteration.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Okay. So then, like, I always overthink these things. It's like which one would be most interesting to talk to? Which one would you be least intimidated by? I'm going to say probably the most personable of them besides Adam West, which is just like obvious. Like the obvious answer is Adam West, right? Like he would just be fun to hang out with and talk to. Although he's kind of a know-it-all. You know.
Yeah, the whole business with the foam convention. I mean, okay, sir, you just saw it out of the corner of your eye. Likely story.
He's so full of crap. And yeah, and like he's always got a PSA he's got to throw at you. You know, he's always got a life lesson. It's like, look, why don't you just let me learn some lessons on my own, Batman? Okay.
That'd be a great episode if Robin was just wanting to rebel and be like, come on, Batman. I just want to learn a lesson on my own.
I read a comic from that period that I reviewed on it for Batmarch this month for Not Spawn Year that was exactly that.
Oh my God.
Like, you know what, Batman, I'm sick of you running my life, telling me what to do, where I can go, when I can drive. The issue opens, Robin just punches him in the face.
That's great.
And leaves. It's spectacular. It was in the mid-'60s.
Yeah, so I've been falling behind on Not Spawnier because I usually listen to those at work.
Because it's a single issue and it's a stupid idea.
No,
is that why?
Hey, no, I love listening to you talk about comics. AirPods have died. They don't really work anymore, so I can't really hear it at work. Yeah, so I will catch up. It's been a couple of weeks.
But yeah, I think besides Adam West, probably the most personable of the live action Batmans would have to be Val Kilmer's.
Probably, yeah. He'd let you in, you know. He'd talk to you about himself. You have to pry a little bit, but.
Well, and you have to be a hot psychiatrist, but.
Hey, look, I can make myself up to Nicole Kidman, all right? I can throw on some Australian accent or whatever. I don't know. I'll try to find a way to do it. Let's see.
Lure him to your house, and you've got your silky sheets.
Oh my gosh, what does Nicole Kidman sound like? She's like, "Oh no, come to my penthouse apartment, Batman."
She's doing an American accent in the film.
I know. I love that. Roger Ebert quote.
He goes, "Bats aren't rodents, Doctor." Really? I didn't know that.
Chase Meridian. It sounds like a bank. Is that Roger Ebert? That's a good one.
That's one of my favorite. I wish I'd thought of it. Yeah, Chase
so
Meridian, and he just puts it in parentheses nonchalantly. Chase Meridian, who sounds like a bank.
All right, so I guess the one I would want to meet is Christian Bale, because. You know, when you watch those movies, like it's really letting you in behind the curtain of what it's like to be Batman. But like in that world, Bruce Wayne is like so snobby and like standoffish and rude. I would really like to meet that Bruce Wayne to really get the other side of that coin.
Yeah. You'd be like, hey, Bruce, we're friends now. Let's go play polo. I'm not playing polo.
I'm not playing polo. Yeah, really touching that. I guess I was gonna say Patrick Bateman, but I mean that's also Christian Bale, I guess.
Okay, but the face you just made is what Keanu Reeves would look like if he you go try to watch a football game with Batman Begins Bruce Wayne, like oh Bruce, what are you watching there? Damn good television.
Let's see. We have another one from Checkers the Inventor.
Thanks, Checkers.
$5 super chat. Thank you very much.
Somebody needs to come in and call themselves Chess the Inventor. I just need to throw that out there.
That's good. Chestnut Checkers. I usually don't like Connor, but he's doing a decent DJ impression. Hold on. Let me actually do DJ here for a second. Batman. Oh. Okay, so then he goes.
Shut up, DJ. It's like he's right here, pissing me off.
What percentage of people What percentage of people aware of Batman 66 do you think know it is intentionally funny?
Boy, that is such an interesting question, isn't it? And immediately, I can't help but think what is that percentage in different periods of history? Like, when it was on, I think that percentage is either higher or people were just entertained by it enough they weren't even thinking about it. Like, I think kids weren't thinking about how campy that show was. And I think adults had to have been in on the joke to even watch it, but then maybe the subtlety of it was lost on people because there was a lot of kitschy, just kind of out there sitcoms or out there premises for sitcoms, right? Like, we don't talk about this very much, but we always look at Batman 66 from the lens of what Batman is and that show parodying it. But forget what you know about Batman and pretend like you're introduced to it with that in the first place. Sans laugh track, it's just another high concept sitcom.
Yeah.
That happens to be hearkening back to movie serials, right? Like, you're just not that far removed. I'm just saying, if you're a casual person sitting on your couch channel flipping, the 3 channels that are there, and you look at that, you're probably not thinking that you're that far removed from the Munsters or something.
No, actually, I was listening to Quentin Tarantino's podcast earlier today, actually, and they ended up going on an aside about the Batman TV show for quite a while, because one of the movies they watched had a lot of the actors who were guest stars on Batman, and they were talking about how Batman was the most popular version of this, but in the 60s there was a lot of sort of pop art, kind of parody satire that was kind of playing it straight-faced, but the tone was so exaggerated. But we all kind of retroactively look at that as Batman, I guess. So
yeah. So I don't know what the percentage is. I mean, like, I'm not even sure I could guess at that. And like right now, like, I want to say it's higher because it's in the zeitgeist, and we now have a lot more to compare it to, obviously. So, like, when you've had this long history of Batman, not just as a character in comics, but in all this extra media, you not only have campy Batman and quote-unquote dark Batman, but you've got everything in between, and then things that even go farther than what in '89 we thought of as darker Batman. Like, there's a lot of people now that grew up after Batman '89 that, and this might sound weird if you're my age, but Connor, would you agree with this, especially being a younger guy than me? I think there's people that look at '89 like it's '66. Like, oh, that's kind of silly Batman.
See, I don't think that's its perception. I do remember I was showing a friend the beginning of Batman '89 a few years ago, and she was like, "Oh, it's kind of campy." I was like,
"Yeah,
whoa!"
not comparatively. That was just finally getting it right for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is interesting though. I do think a lot of people don't think of Batman '66 as intentionally funny, though.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, you're cutting out again. What was that?
Dang. I would say less than 20% know it's intentionally funny.
Less than 20% know it's intentionally funny. That seems like a really low number to me. I don't think I agree with that. I think it depends on the camps we're talking about, right? So, like, it's so complicated. I just don't know. I think the way I want to answer that is people that haven't seen it don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know what that percentage is. Like, people that are still mad at that show for ruining Batman, some of them saw it, and, like, now we've had, so much history after that. I don't know how you can still feel that way, but I guess if you are older and you grew up in that era where there was just dearth of serious Batman, I get why that upset you. But, like, I think a lot of people, not everybody, of course, but I think a lot of people that still feel that way never actually looked at it. And they're like, that's just incorrect. Definitely. You're not supposed to do Batman like that. Why is it so campy? And then maybe they would still hold to that. Some people would still hold to that opinion, looking at it and going, okay, well, it's intentionally a parody, but that's not what I want from Batman. You shouldn't do that to it. But I think some people are like, oh, you don't understand the material. You got to watch it, and then you realize they do.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think that the perception versus reality on that, when you watch it, you'll realize that. I think a viewer would have a change in, like, appreciation of it if they've never seen it.
I know I've talked about this a lot, and we're talking too much 60s tonight. Not enough people are going to care about this. But I've talked about this a lot, Connor, but I think the biggest mistake that we make in talking about that show is the social satire doesn't come up enough. It's not just a parody of Batman. There's tons of satire and comedy about what's going on in the culture right then. And I've always said, and maybe I go too far with this just because I don't hear enough people talk about it, and I don't want to tout myself up like a genius, like I figured this out. I don't understand why it's not more evident to people. It's as much as, I think, it's as much a social satire as 60s, as Star Trek in the 60s was allegory and social commentary. And it uses that satire to bring things to the screen that are harder to get away with talking about at that point, just like Star Trek did it.
Yeah, and you're probably onto something, because my knowledge of 60s is, at least media, is kind of small compared to yours, but like that's a post like Kennedy assassination show that's probably trying to make itself look like pre-Kennedy assassination, right? Is that probably a fair assessment? That's
interesting, yeah. And then we get into a period right after that where you just get too many important people in the social sphere getting assassinated, and people and other things happening, especially in 1969, where people are just, kind of terrified, and we get into, massive Cold War politics, and we just get kind of Vietnam. We just start to get, especially Vietnam, we start to get really worried about where the culture is going and if we're even going to be here tomorrow. And I think people felt safer in the mid-60s, even with JFK. But that's a terrific point, though, that the culture didn't already start, and I mean like pop culture, didn't already start going to the more dark experimental place that it gets to the 70s. I think you needed Vietnam for that. And I think it's the reason that show gets canceled and loses popularity, is like there's this perfect 3-year time capsule where that show appeals to people, and it was right place, right time.
I think that probably also, like, its lack in popularity, like, along with Star Trek, probably plays into the rise of the new Hollywood movement in the, like, 68 to 69 with stuff like Midnight Cowboy and, like, Easy Rider and stuff, where you get into stuff like French Connection and the grittier stuff in the 70s kind of gets born out of that stuff, which
Absolutely.
is happening, of course, in the movies. But I never really thought to compare those two, but yeah. You're right.
That's interesting. Well, I've talked about this too long. Let's move on.
Hey, I love talking about 60s Batman, so I'll talk about it all day long.
You got to watch more of it with me, dude.
I really do. I know that movie like the back of my hand, but I need to watch the show.
Do you have a copy?
I don't, and I think that's why I haven't watched it. I want to get a Blu-ray copy, but I never have like the $60 to spend on it.
Yeah. Well, and it's I don't know. It's often on sale and pretty easy to get. So.
Yeah, it's always at Best Buy. I should just like grab it. SS Jerry gives us a $2 super chat. He asks, favorite versions of Batman and why? I'm undecisive. That's the big one.
What's the big one? The undecisive Batman? That's your favorite?
No, just like your favorite versions of Batman.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a big.
It's pretty
big
basic.
question.
Well, everybody knows what mine are. Let's let Connor field it first.
Oh goodness. So I love Golden Age Batman aesthetically. I love Batman who can like fight mad scientists in like basically universal monster sets. I love the purple gloves and the ears on the side of the cowl and the Monster Men and Dr. Death and like Moriarty style Joker. And I love all that. That's like my thing. And I also really like 60s Batman, and I really, really like Christopher Nolan's Batman, which I guess is a bit of a departure from those other examples, but I kind of like his like super spy, globe-trotty James Bond take on Batman. I like it a lot, and I even like Dark Knight Rises, even though it's far from perfect.
Yeah, so, you can be wrong. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay to be wrong, right?
We don't have to argue about that again. But like, no. I don't know. There's stuff I like in that movie. That's why it's so disappointing. I wish it all sucked. It doesn't. I can write it off more if it all sucked. There's still I don't know. It's been 11 years. There's still a part of me in the back of my mind. It's got to be me. Somehow it's got to be me. It's not me. Anyway, you guys know mine. Like, I've never been able to put a particular iteration at the very top. Part of the problem is just that I like Batman as an idea and an aesthetic so much, and it was such a formative thing for me. Like, Batman was one of my major role models growing up. It just as a character. You know, not that I wanted to go around and punch bad guys and intimidate people, but it was. But he's such a driven character. Like whatever it is that you want to make of yourself. If you get yourself in the mindset of Batman, you're trying to be more than the sum of your parts and get like beyond what you think you're capable of in some way, and that's really appealing when you're a kid. Like how can I go farther than I think is possible? That was the thing that always most appealed to me about Batman, and so there are so many different versions that epitomize that. And a lot of different aesthetics that are just cool, that are just fun to look at. So, like, gun to my head, Conroy is probably at the very top, but there's such a special place for the '89 aesthetic, at least. And when I was a kid, like, I just wanted to be Michael Keaton in the face. You know, like, I do the eyebrows.
His eyebrows are nuts. They're great.
Yeah, it's so good. And then Begins and Dark Knight, like the Nolan movies, like his take on the philosophy of Batman, particularly when we get into Dark Knight, is farther removed from the way I see the definitive quote-unquote version of the character, especially with Conroy's Batman, because that was he's Batman first, and Bruce Wayne is really the mask, and he knows he'll never be able to stop. And it's so weird because the end of Begins is Rachel Dawes saying, I don't think there will come a day that you no longer need Batman. And then because he has a chance at getting her to date him in the next movie, it's okay, I'm really trying to figure out how to get to where I don't need to be Batman anymore. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, this is going a little bit too far with this idea, I think. But the characterization, the way the idea with fear motivating him is handled, that's probably the version I identify with the most.
Yeah, see, like, and this is kind of like going into like what you prefer in your adaptations. Like, what I like about, like, I guess why I Reeves The Batman, at least I've only seen The Batman once. I do want to watch it again, and I do like that movie. But like,
I'm telling you, it's better every time, dude. That viewing we just did for the commentary, like I love it so much more than I did even before that. It's crazy. So every time it's better.
Yeah, but it's like the one time I saw it felt like Matt Reeves. It's not that he didn't have a take on it, but it's a very humble adaptation in terms of like he's really wanting to look at the material and put it on screen. With some identifiers that are definitely him, but it's like I want to make the version of Batman that is kind of collectively existed in our imaginations, but it's never really been on screen before. I want to do that. And so what I really like, what I prefer, at least in Nolan, is that like he's going, no, Batman's going to be a Christopher Nolan protagonist. He just wants to get home. He doesn't want to do this job forever. I kind of like how you can really see what makes Christopher Nolan tick just by like the aspects of Batman that he leans into, whereas someone like Reeves is just trying to do all of it, right? And I like both of them. I like both of those adaptations, but I do like the kind of filmmaker identifiers that are on Nolan's version. But then going to comics, I go the complete opposite direction. I love Morrison's Batman because he is trying to do all of it at once, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah, and in comics, I think I'm a lot more of like an Alan Grant guy. Mm. That period, the late and like Englehart, the mid to late '80s and into the '90s.
And that's the stuff I really want to catch up on because you really talk about it, like especially like Norm Brayfogel's art, like you and like 3 other people I know just like talk about how wonderful his art is. So I gotta check that.
That's because not enough of us do, and he's one of the big unsung heroes with Batman, and it ticks me off that he's not remembered better than he is.
Yeah, and he passed away not too long ago, right?
Yeah, a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was a shame. I saw that and I immediately thought about you.
Hey, I've talked about this on the show before. Have I told you about that?
About what?
The whole thing with me and Brayfogle.
No, go ahead.
So I interviewed him. I'll say this real briefly. This is somebody once, I think, on the Captain Logan show asked what my biggest regret is. with the channel, and this is up there if I have regrets, right? And I try to be one of those people that's like, I don't have any regrets. Yeah, there's a couple, there's a couple things I wish I'd done differently. Whatever, I'm human. I try not to dwell on them, but there's stuff. Connor, I interviewed him. I don't know if you ever knew about that or saw that.
I think I did.
Back during Comic Book Late Night in, like, I don't know, 2012, 2011. And he was awesome, and we really hit it off, and he talked to me for probably an hour and a half on the phone after the interview, and he wanted to talk about, like, deep stuff, philosophy, and that kind of thing, and I really enjoyed that conversation, and he gave me his office number, and he said, I really mean this, because he sounded lonely. He sounded like he just wanted people to talk to, and he was like, call me at my office anytime, and I never did. I just felt weird about it. I was like, just calling him out of the blue. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't want to, I don't want to bother him. I don't want to harass him. And when he passed away, I kicked myself so hard. I was like, that sucks. I should have called him. And I hated that I never did, because I could have, and I don't mean to be selfish about it. I could have had a friendship with Norm Brayfogle maybe that whole time, and I really respect the man. He's one of my favorite Batman artists, and he was so interesting to talk to. He didn't want to talk about comics. He wanted to talk about philosophy, and then I was like, I don't know if he was sick already or if that happened later, but like I partly felt bad about it because I wished I had struck up a friendship with him, but also because maybe he just needed people to talk to. I felt like a jerk. I should have called him.
No, I can definitely relate to you in that situation, because I have that same like self-conscious, like I don't want to bother this guy, but then I also would have had that exact same regret. No, that's heavy. Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. Sorry for repeating myself for folks that have heard that story, but no, I hate that.
But at least you got to have that really cool conversation with him.
It was wonderful.
Sounds awesome. I need to go back and look at that interview then. I actually have not watched a lot of those comic book late nights. Just a little bit before I discovered the channel, but
yeah, I did a lot more industry interviews back then, and he was the coolest thing he did. And this was, I think, one of the big things that it made me kind of perk up and made us really hit it off was we did the interview, and it was a little stilted. It's an okay interview, but we didn't talk much beforehand, and we start getting into a conversation after that, after the interview's done, and we're like, and like I'm not nervous anymore like I was during the interview, and it's like 10-15 minutes in, he starts, and I don't remember any of it now, and I can't tell you what any of it was, but like he starts talking about like juicy stuff at DC when he was there, and like people he had problems with and stuff that ticked him off, and and like a couple of things that I might have thought to ask him about that I didn't want to put him like in the hot seat and put him in a bad situation, so I didn't. And I was like, and I said to him, I was like, man, some of this would have been really interesting to hear you talk about on the channel, but like I didn't want to I didn't want to go there. And he goes, you want to re-record it? Like he's got nothing to lose. He goes, we could do it again. And I was like, no, Norm, that's okay, man. And I also maybe I regret that too, but I didn't want it to get super negative, But he was like, oh, I'll do it again. Like that was his attitude. It was hilarious.
That's cool. All right, moving on. We have a $2 super chat from Jonathan Campbell.
Yeah.
Let me just see. I think.
Also, let's celebrate the first super chat from Jonathan Campbell.
I was gonna say, I think this might be his first super chat.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what Google says, and I've decided every time we see that from now on, we're gonna apply. You know what? I should come up with music for it. We're gonna get. Yeah. Go ahead and read it. I'll start thinking about it, but I'm gonna come up with some kind of like celebration. Oh, you know what? I know what it's gonna be, because we're doing nothing but Capcom music for this show. Don't ask me why. So I know precisely the correct music to play for this. For celebrate the first super chat, Joseph Campbell.
I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride.
Oh, Connor can't see me right now. Hold on. Here we go. We gotta celebrate the super chat, Connor. Anyway, okay, go ahead and read the super chat comment.
All right.
Oh, I'm gonna do it every time.
That's great. Favorite episodes of Batman, the Brave and the Bold?
Okay, have you watched any Brave and the Bold?
I have not, sadly. I feel like I ought to have. It seems like it'd be up my alley.
Gasp! Shock! You would love that show. It's so much fun.
It seems like it, yeah.
And will just blindside you with its sophistication, considering how totally absurd and silly it is.
Which, is it streaming anywhere? Is that on HBO Max?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I'll probably watch a couple tonight then.
It sure is, yeah. So I say that. I don't know that show as well as I wish I did. I've seen, probably collectively, I've probably seen a third of it. And some of it, it's just been a long time and I don't remember real well. The double-edged sword with a show like that is that it watches great just, like, throwing random episodes in. So I've never watched it cover to cover.
Yeah, okay. They're only 22-minute episodes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I might check it out. Yeah, it seems like a nice thing to hit the random button on and see what comes up.
What's great?
But how many seasons did it run?
3.
Okay.
3. Chill of the Night is the one that everybody goes to. The actual, pretty serious episode that Deanie wrote. We talked about it on the 24-hour stream. The second one that I did, not for Smallville, but the second just overall 24-hour stream I did. And it gets into it's actual crime drama, and it's got some cool, like, celebrity voices returning. If memory serves, I think maybe Adam West and Kevin Conroy are both in that. I can't remember now. Cool. But then, am I remembering that right? Somebody will tell me. But that show almost never sees Batman with his mask off, much less gets into, like, his parents' murder, and that one does. It's great. The finale is one of the best finales I've ever seen for anything.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's also Deanie. Deanie wrote some killer episodes for that show. The Man-Bat, there are Man-Bat, Batmite. There are 2 Batmite episodes, I think, and the last episode is a really great kind of meta thing with Batmite upset that the show is getting canceled.
Aww,
and trying to keep it on. It's wonderful. So those are the 2 that immediately come to mind. And then my favorite cold open, because I don't know if you know the structure with that show, Connor, but each episode opens with a cold open, shorter cartoon that usually has nothing at all to do with the rest of the episode. So it's like 5 minutes long, and it's sort of like Warner Brothers cartoon length, and and that's how they get in a lot of really obscure superhero team ups. I think the one for the finale that has Batman teaming up with someone to save Abraham Lincoln.
That's awesome.
from getting killed at the theater? It's amazing.
Oh my god.
And I think they just save him and there's no explanation for the timeline or anything. I can't remember. It's been too long. But my favorite cold open is the one they did with Space Ghost. There's a couple of crazy crossovers that they do, and they did one that's just straight up Space Ghost that has that animation style. Like, they just switched to that animation style, and it's got the sound effects from that show. It's great. And I think there's a Scooby-Doo episode. And by the way, the Scooby-Doo Batman movie that they Brave and the Bold movie they did, where they came back and they did just one more Brave and the Bold thing years after it got canceled. And it's that movie. It's spectacular. It's really good.
Oh, cool. Because I have more affinity for Scooby-Doo than you do. So you saying that makes me want to check it out.
I love it, and I don't care about Scooby-Doo.
AMC Comics says Kevin Conroy voices the Phantom Stranger and the Batman of Zur-En-Arr. They go to Zur-En-Arr in that show?
They do.
Sold. Sold. That's awesome.
One of their favorite things to do in that show is have episodes with, be it for timelines or multiple dimensions, just get as many different possible Batmans on the screen as you can. They do a ton of that. So there's an episode that has like a rainbow Batman and the zebra Batman, and they have like a whole bunch of them all at once. No, it's a really imaginative show.
Well, great. I'm watching Star Trek a little bit later tonight, so maybe I'll throw in an episode of.
Ooh, what episode are you on? You gotta tell me.
It's the one. So I watched Where No Man, like the Where No Man Has Gone Before. I think that's what it's called. The guy with the weird
you're watching
eyes.
them in the wrong order.
I'm watching them on the air order. Yeah.
No, that's not the way to do it. Fine, well, whatever. You
So
do whatever you want. I don't care.
It's the one after that.
I shouldn't care, but I do. Okay, so
you know what? If anyone should care in my life, it is you. All right. So I'm glad you have opinions on this.
yeah, I actually sort of want to eject you from the call over it. But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right. Senior Six gives us another $2 super chat, and he says, "Counting is wonderful. Will Batman become religion?"
I think he probably means sometimes he'll write in kind of a clipped English. Thanks, Senior Sticks. I appreciate it, buddy. I think he means will Batman become a religion? I think that's happened already, right?
Oh, probably.
No, I just mean basically it has. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Batman fans are somewhat cult-like. So I can.
I mean, I only want to speak for myself, and I want to say I'm not like that, but like, you know, I'm a little obsessed. I'm looking around here right now, and I'm like, it's hard to make that case. I don't know.
When I was a preteen and into my early teenage years, I was absolutely a part of like the Batman cult. Like I speak from experience.
I hope you weren't in the cult from Batman the Cult.
Oh, no, they don't indoctrinate you with that stuff. That's for the higher tier.
Batman. I almost called you Batman.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you,
Connor. you haven't been hanging corpses from bridges again, have you?
Hey, it's been years. All right, you're never gonna let me. It's Portland. It's Bridgetown. I get it. But
stop hanging corpses from the bridge in Bridgetown.
You know what's funny? I was actually just referencing Deacon Blackfire earlier today. That's crazy that you went to Batman the Cult.
I haven't read that in a long time. All I remember is they've got the bodies over the. I remember the artwork, which is really interesting, but the bodies hanging from the bridges and just it being really surprising that somebody that worked on Rises had read that. It's so weird that there's the cult in that movie.
Yeah, there's references to the 1980 film Alligator in The Dark Knight Rises. That's just got a bunch of bizarre references to everything. It's crazy.
Weird.
I don't know if it's intentional, but Alligator also has, we're going to send all the cops into the sewer. And I think that is intentional, but during that sequence...
They took one of the stupidest plot points from another movie? From like a B movie?
But... they don't throw every alligator down there, but they don't throw every cop down there to go searching for the alligator. But there is, so I think the cops going into the sewer to find the alligator is a reference in Dark Knight Rises. What is a coincidence that I would be impressed with if it is a reference is in Alligator when they go into the tunnel to go looking for the alligator. In the span of 2 shots, it does go from day to night. I was like,
oh no,
what?
Okay, but what's amazing is is that like a B movie?
It's not. It's a Jaws ripoff, but like it stars like Robert Forster and has some pretty good visual effects. Like I think it might be in like a Jaws ripoff, but with an A movie budget.
But like with the actual production value. Connor, you basically just made the case, and again, everybody remember Connor likes Dark Knight Rises. You basically just made the case that Alligator is a smarter movie than Dark Knight Rises.
Hey, Alligator's really good. Everyone should go watch it.
You just said that, though. You're like, hey, they didn't throw all the cops down to look for the alligators. And I love Austin's point where he goes, but they did the same thing in Begins where all the cops go to the Narrows.
That is true. The cops in Gotham are very reactionary, right? They're like, we are just going to all go there to take care of the problem.
How did Gordon not learn anything from... Well, I guess he's delusional because he's like lying on his ostensible deathbed.
He is hopped up on painkillers, all right?
That's right. Because it's Commissioner Loeb that's like, all the cops are over there on the island with you. And I'm like, if you're under that kind of pressure and you got all the... You got like no help... When you get into Dark Knight Rises, would you really do that?
Yeah. Alex Barondesi, the day-to-night transition in Rises isn't too bad. It's evening before they go into the tunnel. That is correct. I actually don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but it is fun to kind of joke about.
That's never been one I've lobbed at it, but...
but actually, I think Now this is another like weird reference in Rises. I think the guy who plays like the kind of, snarky, terrible cop who's like hunting down Batman, I think like he's cast because he's the main character from Full Metal Jacket, and in Full Metal Jacket his character's name is Joker. I think he was cast so that they could technically have a Joker in Dark Knight Rises. Like I think that's why.
And then he's like just hiding in his house.
Yes.
He's like, I'm not coming out. He's like, I'm gonna be the guy that catches the Batman. And then later he's like, I'm a coward. I'm gonna stay in my house. I'm like, yeah, you need to get out on the ice. Somebody put him on the ice.
All right, this is
so that he can be killed by Teal'c from Stargate. Anyway.
That's funny. I had no idea who that was, but I went and saw that with like my stepsister, and she was like, he's in Stargate.
He's in Stargate. Stargate's wonderful. I love Mike Judge. He's great. Mike Judge? Something Judge.
Mike Judge, didn't he create like Beavis and Butthead?
Yeah, it's not Mike Judge. What is that? Christopher Judge. Christopher Judge. That's his name. Nice save, Cap. You went from Beavis and Butthead to Stargate.
That's an easy mistake to make, right?
Sure. They're both named Judge, which is a kick-ass last name, by the way.
My name is Judge. So SS Jerry gives us a $2 super chat. And he says, could John Kramer, Saw, be a good Batman villain?
I feel like there's a lot of kind of slasher-esque members of Batman's rogues gallery, particularly in more modern stuff in like the last 20 years, that are looking pretty hard at that. So like I feel like, yes, because we're already kind of ripping that off a lot. Like, but I would make the argument that, tell me if you agree with this, Connor. I think this is an easier question to answer. Name a slasher villain that is not a good Batman villain. Right? Ghostface. Yeah. Fine Batman villain. Maybe a one-off Batman villain. I don't know that you keep dealing with it, but like Ghostface, Michael Myers, like. I
would love to see like 60s Batman take on Chucky. That would be fun.
Oh my God, that's such a great idea. But like. Batman villains are psychopathic murderers usually that are obsessed with the motif. They're just horror movie villains, like in the first place. Mm-hmm. That's what they are.
Oh man, so I've actually seen all the Saw movies, and those are that.
Are you okay?
No, they're funny.
He's not okay.
They're actually like. So first of all, like Arkham City Riddler is like just straight up Jigsaw. like just a lot of that iconography is pulled from the Saw movies. I feel like it is anyways. I would not be surprised at all if they said that was an inspiration. But the Saw movies are like really funny, like because they're basically just like this soap opera where it's this one like police precinct in this one unnamed city is just cannot capture this guy even after he dies. And like the Jigsaw Killer's like philosophy is like incoherent by the time you get to the third or fourth movie, where it's like, you don't appreciate life. That's why I'm going to put 3 college students who are in a love triangle into this public display of murder. It's like, sure, dog, why not? No, they're funny. They get to some nutty places.
You know what I want? I don't think I can handle watching those, though. Like, I've heard people that are fans of those take issue with what Vince used to say when he was on the channel. He would complain all the time that movies like Saw, like the Saw sequels especially, are just torture porn. Even if you think the stories are better than that, that aspect is there too much for me to want to sit through them.
I can understand that, but I think aside from 3, they're not nearly as bad as I kind of thought they would be. Because I heard about the whole like thing where someone gets dropped into a pit of syringes, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing that.
A pit of what?
Syringes. Like
yeah. Ugh.
But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. 3 does go to a torture porn place, but I think by the time you get to the ending of that movie, like I feel like Juan and whoever else was writing that like had heard that criticism, and then like made like that movie as like a case against what they were doing, because like that movie comes off as torture porn for a while, and then you realize what's going on in that movie, and it's like a subversion of that.
That's interesting.
It's not a good movie, but it is kind of interesting, at least philosophically. It feels like them drawing the line and saying, no, we're not that.
It's not gratuitous in that way, and if you think it is, here's what it would really be like.
Yeah, because like
Okay.
Saw 3 opens with like 3 or 4 scenes of just people dying. I'm like, okay, this isn't fun. This feels kind of wrong. But yeah, no, the second one's kind of entertaining in a bad movie way. I don't know. I kind of like the Saw movies. They're my guilty pleasure. They get stupid, especially the last one becomes a Dark Knight ripoff, and it's hilarious.
Is it like the Fast and the Furious movies?
No, the Fast and the Furious actually does have like a little, like kind of a level of skill behind them and like earnestness and sincerity, which
Okay.
like off puts the like
The stupid.
ridiculousness. Yeah. So you see, like I feel like the Fast and Furious movies are like sarcastic, and I'm like, are you like I can't read them after a certain point. Like that's why I think why I like watching them. But no, the Saw movies are just bad, but they're funny.
You know what I want, Connor? I know what Batman did last summer.
Ooh, okay, yes. The whole Bat family is like, is it? That's what you need to do, right? With like the whole like Batman, the whole genre of Batman with like extended family without Batman. That's the one you do it for, right? It's all of like the Robins and Batgirl like are hanging out, and then like I don't know if they murder somebody or not, but you kind of do a riff on that with them, right?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
Hey, let me go ahead and tackle this real quick, because I'm not gonna do this. Philip Kelton put in another super chat, and I appreciate the super chat. He wants me to react to that video right now. He says I would really hate to miss it if you react to the Frank Miller dialogue. Your monologue. I'm not going to do that. Sorry, because I don't want to set a precedent for people just leaving super chats for me to watch videos and react to them, because I don't know what's in them before I look at it. And I don't I don't right off know how long it is. I mean, I could look that up, but like I don't want to start a thing where the super chats are just let's pull up videos and react to them. Maybe at some point I'll do a stream like that, or I'll have like a section for it or something, Connor. Like I'm not prepared for this. This isn't a thing I thought about doing, and I'm actually not set up right now to show the screen because I don't have articles pulled up, and I wasn't planning on doing that tonight. So we've got 5 minutes left in the show, and we've got other super chats. So Phil, sorry about that if you thought I was going to do that, but yeah, I'm not prepared or to do that right now.
Yeah,
sorry,
well, you know
sorry
what?
about that.
You talked about it, so there you go.
I answered the question. Unfortunately, no. But yeah, we've only got 5 minutes left, and it looks like there's actually... God, how many more do we have?
3. We got 3.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a lot to me right now, but it could be worse. So, hey, thank you guys for the support and for making this mostly about Batman tonight. Actually, I think every question was about Batman. Was it not?
A lot of them have been, yeah. I don't think there hasn't been one that's not been.
You guys rock. Thanks a ton.
Yeah.
And we haven't done any pre-written, I don't think. That we ended up with a lot more super chats than I expected tonight.
Actually, I did like 3 or 4.
Oh, you rock.
pre-written
Okay,
off
thanks
the
for doing
top,
that.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't actually looking to see if they were super chats or not, so I didn't
Hey, that's why I'm here. I'm the chat moderator. So
thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
yeah, no worries. Hold on, we got a couple more super chats just kind of roll in.
Oh, I just saw that. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
sorry. Before we move on, I should have announced this at the beginning. I forgot. I did post on the community tab today about it. But we are doing After Dark tonight at 10 o'clock. So about 50 minutes from now. And we're going to do a commentary on something Batman related, probably just one episode of TV. We will read some more Sonic High School, but then after that, we're gonna do another, or we're gonna do a blind commentary on something Batman that is probably not going to be very good. And right now, we're kicking around probably an episode of Batwoman. I think that's probably what we're doing. So join us. So join us for something probably terrible.
One last thing about Saw. In Saw 6, there's a flashback, and instead of just hiring a different actor to play Saw, they just get the old guy who Saw, and he wears a baseball hat backwards, and he's got like skater clothes, and he rolls up, and it's really silly.
How old is that actor?
He's like in his 60s or 70s.
You can't do that.
He's like, so I hear you don't take life very seriously. Something like that is so goofy. Love it. Anyways,
you want to find out how I got this old?
All right. John Ty, $5 super chat. What are the most overrated and underrated Batman comics?
Oh my goodness. First thing that comes to mind for overrated is Long Halloween. I hate to say that. But I know we talk about this a lot, but when I finally sat down and read it again and did a review a few years ago with Eric, we just found that it doesn't all add up. And there's some good writing in that book, but it's not a great mystery, unfortunately. At the end of the day, it's kind of sad. I still kind of wonder how it ended up being in like the top 3 Batman stories that people know that don't know Batman stories. I still can't quite figure out how that happened. It might just be because it's a really provocative title and they have cool covers. And the novelty of every month somebody dies. I'm like, so let me get this straight. People's favorite Batman story is one where it takes him an entire year to solve a crime and somebody dies every single month. Like, that's your world's greatest detective, your favorite Batman story. Every month somebody dies on a holiday. Batman can't solve this. I'm just saying, on paper that sounds really funny. That like that's your favorite Batman story, right?
Yeah, well, so here's what I've realized about comic book fans, which I count myself among.
I don't hate that book, by the way. Like, I love I love the atmosphere of it. I love the art. I love Sale, but
well, and Jeff Loeb, like I spent a long time since I've read Long Halloween. I do remember liking it when I was a teenager, and when I read Hush, which I like less, even with Hush. Like, the first 6 issues of Hush I thought were great. And then it kind of started to fizzle out. But when it comes to comic book fans, what I've noticed, because I was there for Court of Owls, you hook them with a solid first 2, 3, 4 issues, you've kind of won everyone over. And then at that point, like, if things don't start adding up, then you already have, like, your apologists ingrained into
what an excellent point. Yeah. That's the benefit of it coming out over time.
Yes.
What would you say is a really overrated book before we get to underrated books?
Oh, Batman Endgame. Easily. Like, I kind of hate that story arc, which was heartbreaking because I love Zero Year. And as much as I love Zero Year, I do not like Endgame. Sorry.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, dude. Like, I want to say I like it a little bit more than you do, but I probably don't. Like, I read it one time as it was coming out. No, that's probably not true. I think I reviewed it.
It felt like with Zero Year, Snyder was reining in all of his bad habits and, like, really, I think, grew as a writer. And then with Endgame, he just indulged in all of those bad habits that he, cut himself off from for a whole year. And he's like, okay, I can finally just do all the self-analysis. And he's so crazy with it. I'm like, no!
Yeah! I hate a thing I can't have an interpretation on because he told me what to think about it.
And it's needlessly 6 issues long. I don't, yeah. Anyways, that's my overview.
Yeah, and I thought Death of the Family felt too long, and compared to that, like, it seemed more warranted.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, that one I would agree. 5 issues was too long. That was like a 3-issue story arc stretched out to 5.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good call. Man, underrated. This kind of thing is really difficult for me on the spot because I feel like there's a great answer. Like there's a story somewhere, right, that I reviewed that I made a big deal out of. Nobody's looked at this and I don't know why. It's killer. And right now that book is not coming to me. I don't know what that is. And then I'm thinking of things. No, stuff's coming to me. Stuff's coming to my brain. And then I'm thinking of things that used to have this problem, and then more Batman movies and things came out, and over time, people started actually hearing about certain stories and checking stuff out, right? Shaman.
Okay.
Shaman is one. I reviewed that not too long ago.
Yeah, that's been on my list for
1989. Yeah, that's one, and Venom.
Yeah, I gotta read that one. I hear that's awesome.
But, like, more people have looked at that now because it came out in trade on its own. For a long time, that was a little bit more obscure. But there's
when did that finally get a trade? Because I remember looking for that when I was in high school, and it just wasn't in print.
It wasn't when you were in high school. It was, like, just after that. Like, I think I saw it in trade. Did I buy that? Maybe I bought that. I forget. Because I wasn't reading digital yet when I read that. But it was probably, like, I don't know, 14 or 15.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. My brother worked at a comic book shop for 2 years, and you didn't get Batman Venom. What's the deal, man?
God, man, what is with that?
Slacker? Yeah.
What's a good answer for you?
I'm gonna go with the 3-issue story arc in Morrison's Batman run. It's one that J.H. Williams III did art for. It's like the Island of Mr. Mayhew Club of Heroes thing, where it's basically a locker room mystery where Batman and all of like these Batman impersonators, like Man of Bats and the Centurion and the Cavalier and like all these other people.
Remember Man of Bats?
Yeah, and they all get brought to this island, and then the Black Glove explodes all of their like vehicles off, and they start getting picked off one by one. And it is so good. It's like an Agatha Christie Batman mystery, and it's so good, and it explains why like people want to follow in Batman's like path, but it also kind of says why there can really only be one Batman, and like the kind of trauma that they're imparting onto like their children or their wards who are like their Robins. Like, it's so good.
Wow, that's cool. I haven't looked at that. Sort of Azrael's maybe in there. I mean, like, more people have looked at that now, but like, again, it doesn't show up in the Nightfall trades, and it's important. You gotta have that. So like, and year 2.
Ooh, yeah, I've been wanting to read that. All right.
I mean, we got to finish the show up, man. We're 5 minutes past time. We got to finish it up. What else do you see?
All right. John Ty, $5 super chat. Do you think of Dick Grayson as Robin or Nightwing first?
These days, Nightwing first.
Okay.
And he was already Nightwing, of course, as I was growing up in comics. So as I first start looking at Batman comics, I'm like, who's this guy? Oh, he's Dick Grayson all grown up. And so I'm seeing Dick Grayson in the '60s show and in the animated series, and then later on. I mean, I'm 11 already, but in Batman Forever and stuff. And so in extra media, we haven't gotten past. Dick Grayson is Robin yet, but anytime I go to the comics, it's like all this history has happened.
That's a good point, yeah.
And then we finally get to Nightwing in New Batman Adventures, but that's not until '98. Like, I'm already 14 when that happens. So anyway, I definitely, I mean, I've lived more with Nightwing than I have with Robin, but more to the point, I like Dick Grayson as Nightwing more than I like him as Robin compared to some other Robins. Like, my favorite Robin continues to be Tim Drake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think I like what you were just talking about. Whenever you pick up a comic book, it's like there's all this history. I guess I do think of Dick Grayson as Nightwing first and foremost. Interesting. Like,
Jason Todd had just been killed off, or no, he gets killed off like 3 years after I'm born. So like, I'm alive when that happens, but I'm not reading the comics yet,
Yeah. Wow,
and certainly at 3 years old, I'm not reading the comic with Joker killing a kid with a crowbar. That's not happening.
Whoa, that's crazy to think that you were alive when Dick Grayson was was Robin.
That's right. I was also alive when he was Batman, but so were you.
Yeah.
So were you. Could you imagine I'm like 3 years old? It's like, hey kid, what you reading? What's your favorite Batman comic? Well, I can't even see the words, but I can't even read the words. But man, Lonely Place of Dying.
Just powerful stuff. Checkers the Inventor gives us $2.
Why is Joker king of an island?
Does that happen in that book? I've actually never read.
I can't remember. There's some weird thing with Joker, like owning an island or being like elected like king of an island. I can't remember what it is. It's some crazy thing.
That's his consolation prize for murdering Robin, I guess. So. Checkers the Inventor, $2. Does your Batman cult extend to the Snyderverse? I guess that was directed towards me.
When you were in a Snyder cult, you weren't in a Snyder cult. When you were in a Batman cult, we didn't have the Snyder Batman stuff yet.
Yeah, honestly though, I think when I first got into movies, I was very much a Nolanite, and I think that does spin out of just being a Batman fan. So I think so. I think like the kind of like rabid Snyder fan thing is kind of intrinsically linked to the Batman stuff. I think, not of course, hashtag not all Batman fans, obviously, but like I do think like it's a similar ilk, just from my experience. I could be wrong. Anyways,
and I gotta tell you, I know people that like BVS unironically. I don't know anybody that's in like the Snyder cut cult, and I would, and I still think there's like 10 of them. And they just have all these Twitter bots. Like,
no, that's a good call. Yeah, I know you're because I also know people who like BVS and Justice League without.
They don't seem like crazy people.
No, they're not. They're pretty cool actually. But yeah, no. But I also noticed like the more distance Nolan gets from his Batman movies, like the more and more like people that I was like a crazy rabid Christopher Nolan Batman fan with. They're less and less interested in him as he kind of moves on to other things. So that's kind of what I think that comes from.
Yeah, good call.
Anyways,
we've got to finish up here.
We got 2 more. Let's just knock these out. Checkers the Inventor, $5. Cap, this one's for you. I'm not going to answer this. If you only watched Alligator, you would finally understand The Dark Knight Rises. Next time you do your research before posting uneducated opinions online.
And you know, if I had a dime for every time Connor said that to me too. Yeah, that Connor, he's always sending me videos like, you don't really understand The Dark Knight Rises. If you just watch this video, it'll all click in place, it'll all make sense. You'll get why Bruce Wayne wasn't afraid that that Bane would set the bombs off when he walks back in, even though he says if anybody comes in, I'm gonna kill everyone. You know, God, and I'm sick of those videos. By the way, quit sending me those, Connor. Stop it.
Oh, man, I've already made 5 more. I'm gonna all scheduled, planned out, and everything. Oh crap! Okay, I mean,
next time do your research before posting. No.
TH1 just slipped one in that said still streaming. Any Sonic High tonight? Yes and yes. Anyways, last one. Philip Kelton.
Did he ask if you were sounding high? What was that? Was that last part?
Oh, I'm sorry. Still streaming? ? Any Sonic High tonight?
Oh yes, we are doing that. Sorry, I thought you said, are you getting high? Yes, Connor is getting high, and then he's sending me links trying to explain Dark Knight Rises.
Hey, this isn't After Dark yet. Right?
I understand it, Connor. I just don't buy into it, okay?
Honestly, though, oh, crap. I think I froze up a little bit.
Yeah, I can still hear you, but
okay.
You just have this hilarious expression that's frozen on you. Oh, no, you're good. No, you're good.
I'm back. Yeah, no, like, as much as I still love The Dark Knight Rises and all that jazz, your review of that is just wonderful. It's great. Some of the best, like, poking holes in that movie that I never thought of before. And
oh, thanks, man.
it really helped me engage critically with that movie in a way I hadn't before, because it's really good criticism. That
well, I mean, you don't have to stop liking it, you know.
Oh yeah, no, certainly.
You know who loves that movie?
Who?
Freddie.
Yeah, I said Freddie. Yeah.
And you know what he said? He said, "I love it. It's boring."
You know, that's great.
He likes boring things. He'll admit, he'll say, I think this is... He likes Independence Day. Jason's like, God, this movie is so long. Freddie goes, that's why it's good. I don't know what it is. Is it just an atmosphere thing? I don't know. But this is my 8-year-old for people that don't know.
Freddie's so cool. But I remember like talking with a friend of mine, and they were like, why did you like Eternals? And I'm like, honestly, it kind of had the balls to be a little boring. And I kind of like that about it. So, anyways.
Dude, you got to take your time if you're going to have a cast of 10 people nobody's ever heard of in comics that don't even wear superhero suits. Like,
and when they do, they're Power Rangers suits.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Anyways, final thing.
And by the way, I also like that movie.
Yeah. It's good. Philip Kelton, 25 Mexican pesos, 2 words. That's fair.
Thanks, man. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, that's it. We got to get going. We are 12 minutes past time. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us for the Captain Logan Show. Connor, it was so much fun just chatting about and rambling about Batman with you for 2 hours, and I feel like we could have easily done it for another hour.
Yeah, ditto. Like, I feel exactly the same way. I like talking Batman. It's really good. This felt like a comic book store chat.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're gonna rename the channel to.
You just gotta like make your bunker, mock it up to look like a comic store.
Dude, when
You're behind the counter.
people come down here that aren't into this stuff, that's what they say. They're like, I feel like I'm walking into a comic shop. I'm like, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Hey, I think it's a good thing. The bunker's awesome.
I've always said there actually is enough space here to put a small vintage stock in my in my bunker. I've been to vintage stocks this size before. People will come down, they're like, can I buy anything?
You got space down there. It's cool. Anyways.
I don't mean to brag about my space. It's just, it does look kind of retail.
No, you know what? Let's. People are always on about normalizing stuff. Normalize liking what you do, right? Like you put all that effort into it. You should like being there, man. I just been like putting my apartment together. I love being in my apartment. My apartment's great.
Yeah, like I don't want to brag and try to make people feel bad for not having whatever I have or whatever. Like I'm jealous of cool stuff other people have too. You know what I mean? Like I love DJ's theater room. It'd be so cool to have that. I'm not gonna get rid of my arcade and have that. You know what I mean? So,
right, exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little jealous of that, and he should talk up how cool it is because it's really cool. But like one of my favorite places now is the space we built down here. I'm so proud of it, and I can't help but say that. Like.
Yeah, you should be.
I just love it.
Man, when I finally get this rug that I'm going to get for my living room, I'm going to be bragging about that for a whole week because it's a cool rug and I'm investing in that. Anyways.
Robert said Cap has a nice place. Lots of space. Good one. Well done.
All right.
All right, so this is so much fun. Connor, thanks for filling in for DJ, man.
Hey, thank you for inviting me. I had a great time.
And I really appreciate the chatters tonight for keeping it Batman related and giving us so many interesting, thoughtful questions, many of which we've never talked about before. I was worried about this with theme stuff that we've done before, particularly Batman, because, I mean, talking about Batman ad nauseum for 14 years, I talked about things tonight I don't think I've ever talked about before.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun topics. I'm glad we were able to talk about 60s Batman as much as we were. But anytime we get you and me together, we're going to talk about 60s Batman.
I never get tired of that. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Connor. Appreciate you, buddy. We'll see everybody again real soon. I'm going to do After Dark here in about 35 minutes now, about half an hour. So come back for that if you're so inclined. If you're a patron, obviously you know the drill there. Just wait for the email. And if you want to become a patron to hang out with us on that show, patreon.com/geekvolution. Just the $2 tier gets you access to that. And I'll send out an email and you'll have a link to the unlisted show. We do that show live, and then tomorrow night 10 o'clock it's Counting Crypto Freaks The Revenge season 2. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you real soon. Bye, folks.